In this video, I'm going to show you how to install an exterior door. It's here to the left of me, and the opening is here to the right of me. And if you're new to this channel, my name is Josh. This channel is all about building your own house, saving a ton of money. So be sure to subscribe if you're into that, and smash that like button if you find value in this video. All right, let's get started. So the very first thing you need to do is measure the width of your opening and the height of your opening. So to do that, just take a tape measure, measure from edge to edge here. And in this case, we got 38.5 inches. I built this house, so I already made it for a 36-inch door. So typically, if you need a 36-inch door, the opening needs to be 38 inches wide. That's just standard. And the actual width of the door is 37 inches. So that gives you some room to play. So it should give you about a ½ inch or so on each side. And as far as the height goes, we're going to take a measurement here. It looks like this opening is 83 inches, which is plenty high. It only needs to be 82 inches for a typical 36-inch door. But measure your door before you install it to make sure your opening is the appropriate size. Another thing I should mention too, when I say a 36-inch door, I mean the actual door slab is 36 inches. When you go into the store to buy a door, it's going to be labeled that way. But look at the side of the door for the actual rough dimensions, or just take your tape measure in the store and measure while you're in there. That's the safest thing to do. So I wanted to tell you a little something about unpackaging these doors. They typically always put the screw packs on top of the doors, and when they come, they have a little latch right here that it's a little plastic, like it almost locks the door in a way for shipping purposes. So be sure to take that out so that way you can install your door and open up the door to get in to finish installing it. So it's just a little plug here. It's really not that big a deal, but just a little reminder. And sometimes there's these little black plates underneath the door they put on so they can slide the door easy. Be sure to take those off before you install the door. Okay, so let's go over to the opening, get some liquid nails, get this thing ready to get set. So before you put your liquid nails down, be sure to take a level, check the bottom, make sure it's nice and level, because now's the time to try to get as level as possible. As you can see here, we got a concrete bottom. So the only thing you can do with a concrete bottom is put shims under it, then put liquid nails to just cover that gap in the bottom. But I always put liquid nails anyways, just because it keeps that threshold strong, and it keeps the water from coming in from under the door, and it definitely keeps it adhered down to the subfloor. So another thing you need to do, take your level and just check the size of your opening and see if it's plumb or not. That way you know how unplumb your opening is, so you can prepare for that as well. So always have a pack of shims ready, because you're going to need them when installing a door. So go ahead and put a nice liberal amount of liquid nails on your sill. Always like to run a few beads here. And like I said, this is definitely the way to go for having a very, very solid bottom on your door. The threshold will thank you later. All right, that should be plenty of liquid nails. Now we're going to go ahead and set the door in the opening. And something else I like to have ready is a finish nailer, and I'll show you why. And if you don't have a finish nailer like I just showed you, it's okay, just have regular galvanized finish nails and you can do the same thing. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab this door, set it in the opening, and just tack a nail in it just to hold it into place while I fine tune it. And that's simply because I'm working by myself, which I usually do. Okay, so we come over here, we make sure we got that plug out. We don't want it in the way, because we're going to have to get inside of the door after we set it. All right, and make sure we take the screw pack off the top of the door. Sling it over. We're going to need these for after we get this thing set roughly. All right, and always set the bottom in first. And then after we set it into place, it's just sitting there with gravity helping you. Just go ahead and open it up, and that way it'll hold itself into place. And now come inside and make sure it's setting nice and square with the opening. And not really square at this point, to just make sure it's setting center of the opening. So now that I got the door in the center of the opening, I'm going to take my finish nailer and a level, check to make sure we're setting plumb. And that looks really good. Sorry, it's a little breezy. It's making that door swing. And then I'm just going to tack a nail to hold it into place. All right, looks good. So you don't want to shoot a bunch of nails in yet because we're going to go on the inside and see if the door needs shimmed and plumbed up. So let's do that. All right, let's go ahead and check. This is what a lot of people mess up, is they need to make sure before they put the rest screws in, our reveal across top looks good. It looks good down the side. And make sure the door shuts easy, and it does. So that's what you want. Easy shut with even reveals around the side of the door. So we like that, and it looks good over here. So now we can go ahead and put screws in each hinge now to anchor it securely. So on this hinge side, typically they don't put a screw in where you need to put these longer screws in. So go ahead and drive that into the hinge. Just snug it up well. Now we need to go inside door and check our reveal before we tighten that too much. All right, so we're gonna put one in this middle hinge. And again, you don't want to tighten these up really tight, you just want to snug them up well because it will mess up that reveal on the inside of the door. So the reason for this fourth screw is this weather stripping here needs pulled back. At least I do this, that way it hides the screw a little better. And then I'll take a drill bit and drill into the jamb. And then to countersink it, I'll take my Phillips bit and just kind of round it out a little bit. All right. And then I take the screw and drive it into the jamb. And what this does is keeps this jamb nice and solid and secure. All right, and now that screw is hidden, and we're going to go through and shim behind these screws and around the actual hinges to make sure they're solid, and then we're going to snug up all these screws very tight. To shim this door tight is pretty straightforward. Just buy a pack of shims, go to each hinge where you had the screw drove in through, and then just slide the shim in until it's nice and snug, and sometimes in some circumstances you'll need two. So you'll just slide it in until it's tight, and then go on the other side, open the door, go to your hinge and tighten it up all the way. So that way the door's in nice and secure. And as far as shimming over here, what I like to do on this hinge or on the latch side, I'll take two shims, slide it into the opening, just slide one back behind it, then slide this one in, and then tighten it up that way. Because if you don't do that, the shim will be in there, and then once you tighten it down, it'll pull that inside of that jamb kind of crooked. So after you got your screw nice and secure on the outside, just break off the shim. And now, that way when the drywall goes over this, you don't have to worry about shims being in the way. So inside your door packet, you're going to get these two foam pads. I'm going to show you what they're used for. So if you look real close, you can see a little light coming out of the bottom hinge side of the door. And if you go up to the top, same thing. You're going to see just a little bit of light. That's what the foam pads are for. Ultimately, you take this thick end of the pad, slide it behind the weather stripping, and it goes right into that corner nice and snug. But before you do that, there's an adhesive. So you got to peel back this sticker-like material on the back, which is really simple. It's just like any other sticker. And what you do, you go back behind it, pull your weather stripping back, and that weather stripping can be kind of a pain to get pulled back. Sometimes if you slide a tool behind it, it's a little easier, but if you fiddle with it, you can typically get it. You're going to slide it right in there. If you see up close, it goes in there, something like that. All right, and as you can see, there is no light shining through there anymore. All right, to complete this inside, you're going to want to spray foam around this whole door or use regular insulation and just tuck it back into that crack. And here's those shims I showed you right on the latch side. I got it snug so they're not going anywhere, and the screw is driven tight. And here's this screw up close. You can see it's nice and secure. We like that. It keeps that latch nice and solid. All right, so here's what the door looks like totally installed. And as you can see, the brick mold needs touched up. But what I like to do is take this brick mold off and replace it with PVC brick mold. That way you never have to paint it and it looks white and bright all the time. Now this is a wood jamb. I will have to be sure to paint that. Every door comes with these little plugs, and they're for plugging these screw holes. Whenever there's trim on the inside of the doors, you usually got to plug the screw holes, and I'm assuming they do that in case the glass gets cracked, that the manufacturer can just take this trim off and replace the glass without junking the whole door. This door has a cool feature. Check out these mini blinds. It's this little slider. The blinds are actually built into the door, so that way you don't have to worry about hanging blinds on the inside of the door and looking all messy. And then you can actually tint them and everything off the same slider. Pretty cool. I like that feature. This is for my own house, so I want to make sure I used the best option. So the final thing you need to do on the outside of this door is run a bead of silicone underneath the threshold. That way it keeps any water from splashing up under that threshold, which is very important. And this is on concrete, which isn't that important, but even though it is, it's still something you should consider. But if you're on a wood subfloor, you definitely want to do that. But that's all I got for you today. I just want to show you how to install an exterior door. I want to say thanks a lot for watching. Again, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.